Go live? Go
We're live.
live! We're live.
Yay!
All right. Time to talk to Father Deadly.
Rise and shine, my sinners. When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little deadly. Deadly Grounds coffee has the richest, smoothest flavor you'll find anywhere. It's sinfully delicious. Once you go deadly, you never go back. Order yours at getdeadly.com. Coffee's so good, it's scary.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Steve Van Samson,
Curtis M. Lawson.
Paul Christian Glenn, Joshua Rex, Raz, Rob Smales,
Hello, everybody. Thank Cthulhu. It is Sunday. Welcome to another episode of The Clutch of Personalities. It has been a little while since we've been on, and we have Curtis back. I'm super excited.
Yes!
Hello.
Curtis, thank you, Buck.
Thank you for having me on.
Oh, yeah. We love you here. We're just like
Oh yeah.
Weird House everything and Curtis everything. Like you're my personal inspiration. I think about you when I'm doing sit-ups and stuff because he's like on Facebook, he's like all getting in shape and everything, and I'm like, okay, I won't be in as good a shape, but I'm getting there. I'm working on it. And
I'm
you're
glad to hear that. I don't know. That makes me feel really good because I don't know. I spent so many years telling myself, "Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this," and just like drinking a 2 liter of Mountain Dew a day, and waking up at like 3 in the morning and be like, "I'm going to die if I keep this up." So it's nice that I don't know that I could do something healthy for myself and other people are inspired by it. That's pretty cool.
yeah.
You inspire people to work out, you inspire people to write more, heck, you inspire people to read more, and we all appreciate that.
Thank
Oh
you
yeah.
very much.
So real quick guys, in the comments I'm going to be giving away 2 copies of the Kindle version of Couch Surfing Through the 12 Chambers of Hell. So make sure you say hi in the comments, ask a question if you have anything for Curtis, and we'll do a drawing at the end of the show. Want to get that? And this is the book that we're going to be talking about, his latest release here. It's gorgeous. We were just talking about, unfortunately, it covers up your head. Oh, here we go. Oh, you got, is that the paperback
That's the
or?
paperback, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
the deluxe version won't be ready for a while. I think the proof is supposed to ship to Warehouse soon, but I don't know when the actual like copies are going to go out to buyers yet. But I signed the signature sheets the other day, so
Well, I already
Done.
ordered one. So I'm going to be one of the people getting one. I'm
thank you.
excited. Yeah, well, I always order your stuff. I'm like,
Mhm.
I think we discovered. I think I have 4 different versions if you count audio and Kindle of Devil's Night because I had to get the colored illustration ones
Yep.
too. And I think I have 3 or 4 versions also of Blackheart Boys Choir.
Oh
I
wow.
just was like, I'm gonna have my entire like Curtis M. Lawson display case going on. It's gonna be great. But
I always I always wonder if there are people who like are completionists with my stuff. Um,
yeah, there's 1 copy of something I'm gonna need to track down because it was no longer available by the time I discovered you. So
okay. What was it?
I, I can't remember which it
All
is
right.
right now. It's like one special edition of something that came out, so it's gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna have to like find somebody and I will convince them to part with their copy of it because I must have it to like I'm gonna get a nice big glass case, and it's gonna be pretty. S- So, what before we get into the book, what have you been up to lately? You've been busy, it
I've
seems, like a lot of stuff going on.
yeah, lots of stuff going on. I mean, I've so Massachusetts passed this thing in the budget where if you're over 25 and you don't have a degree, you could get your associates for free.
Oh,
So I went back to school. I'm going to school for business. Um, so that's kind of wild. This is my first time having to do homework or anything in a in a very long time. And then yeah, I've been trying to keep up with like fitness stuff. I do taekwondo with my kid, and I've been doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff for Weird House, some editing, marketing. I run the social media for Weird House, and um, kind of whatever Joe needs me to do, and then writing, of course. Yeah,
that's a lot of stuff.
That is
You've been
amazing.
yeah, school on top of everything else. That's just
That
yeah.
I,
is not
I
easy.
and are we still working on your OnlyFans where you're going to tell people that they better be
I should do that. I have this idea for an OnlyFans where I just tell people that they're wonderful and beautiful and intelligent. Just say nice things to them, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, people would pay for that. You should do
I
Yeah,
was
they would.
it."
I know you were discussing with this book was originally going to go as a Kickstarter, and you had said that you were going to have like one of the tiers would be a personal message that you would record as long as it wasn't too crazy.
Yeah.
And hey, Tom.
Hello. Yeah, I was on some group in Facebook, some Kickstarter group where people kind of like passed along ideas and such. And one of them was to do like cameo style things. And I was like, well, that's something that doesn't cost me anything but a few minutes, you know. Um, so yeah, I thought that would be kind of cool. And if I do launch a Kickstarter down the road, I'll probably do that. But we went away from the Kickstarter model. And I decided to publish it with Weird House instead. So
Yeah, I was going to totally get on that tier and be like, "Can you just tell me like, Carrie, you're good enough. You're smart enough. Get your ass out there and write. You can do it." And be like, "Yes, thank you, Curtis."
well, you are. You are smart enough. You are good enough, and you can. So get your ass out there and write.
I will.
Dude, now you have it. It's recorded.
Yeah,
Replay it because
Gonna
that
save
is
it over.
awesome.
on
Thank
the
you.
internet forever.
So yeah, Ken pointed out the cover art is awesome. And we were just talking about this, so I'm gonna pull it up again.
Thank you, Ken.
Um, but you said you picked it up on a cover site.
Yeah, so I started writing this book, and it's not very long, and it's like 100 pages or so. It's just a novella, but I started writing it pretty much right after Devil's Night, I think. So I started writing it like 3 or 4 years ago, and I just kept getting distracted by, invites to this anthology or this project or the Coffin Maker came up, and I started writing for that. So when I originally came up with the idea, though, I was really excited, and I bought a cover for it before I had written much, and I think it was getcovers.com. I think was the site I got it from, and I don't know who did the original artwork because I think it came from a stock art site where you could just basically they're like, go pick some art from this place, and then they put over the typography and such. I have thought about doing a reverse image search to kind of find out what the origin of it is beyond that, but I keep forgetting to do so. But I do
I
like to point out that I bought it about 3 or 4 years ago, so it is not AI.
I have one of those that's just sitting in the back of somebody's hard drive where I'm like, I Stefan actually was like, okay, I passed on this Cthulhu Mythos cover. You need to get it if you can get it, because I'm like, okay. So I went out and got it, and I got all the rights to it, and
Yep.
for a bunch of money. The guy was just like, but I don't need it, so can you hold on to it? And he's like, yeah, just check in, let me know when you need it. And so like 2 years later, I'm like, I still don't need it, but I just wanted to make sure you still got that, right? And he's like, yeah, yeah. Are you gonna write something? I'm like, I'm working on it. It's an anthology. Well, I guess if it's yourself, it's a collection. But
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
so
I've done
yeah,
that a few times with with Joe at Weird House. I've seen covers. I'd be a Joe, go buy this because we'll use it for something down the road. And you haven't yet, but actually he did. He got one that he there's two covers for Joshua Rex's New Monsters, and one of them I think was a pre-made cover from Don Noble at Rooster Republic, and the other one was custom made by Luke Spooner.
Yeah, I think I have the Luke
The
Spooner
Luke Spooner is
version.
the white cover,
Okay,
and
I
then
think
the do I have a copy? I have a copy of it somewhere here. And the kind of purplish covers the Rooster Republic pre-made.
yeah, I have the
I
white
love
one.
that one.
It's in the other room. I
Mm.
like every I get you guys I get the good books and then I open them up. I take a picture. I flip through a couple if there's illustrations, I take pictures of those and then I give it a good sniff, a hug, and I re-bubble wrap it up and then go read it on my Kindle so that I
Yeah,
don't damage the book at all.
one of the things I'd like to do, and hopefully we can figure this out at some point technology wise, is I've been pushing for a Weird House for us to send ebooks to people when they order the hardcovers. Because a lot of people they don't want to they don't want to damage the spines on these. They're collecting them to collect them. They want them on their shelf, and um, they want to read it as an ebook, like you said. So I think it'd be a nice courtesy if we could give people the ebook when they ordered the hardcovers.
I
That
know
would
there's
be
a way to
awesome.
do that on Amazon that and I mean maybe you can study their model, but it's like if you buy the I don't know if it's hardcover or paper, but and it's only some people choose the option, but you buy one of them and then you can get like the Whisper Sync and if you get the Kindle
Yeah,
with it as well, you can like get all three of them, but it's it's not very many people that actually do that, but if you guys could figure out
yeah.
that'd be
I
awesome.
need to talk to the guy who does all the tech stuff in the background and figure out how. I'm sure there's some sort of way we could do it with Shopify or whatever.
Yeah, that'd be then I would only have to buy things once.
Yeah.
What are you buying? This week I'm buying lots of Curtis. Um, I had a question for you real quick before I want you to go in and kind of explain the story, but the scene towards the very beginning, and we don't want to spoil everything, but when he goes to visit his father, the dancing with the dead scene, have you written that in another form before that I've would have read?
I don't think so. Um, but it's possible. I think a lot of writers do this where you go back to kind of themes or visuals and sometimes without even noticing it. Um, so it's possible, but I can't think of something I did with that. The closest thing I can think of is in Devil's Night. There's that through hell for one kiss story.
Yeah,
Um, that's the closest thing I can think of.
okay. I wasn't sure, and maybe I beta read it for you at some point for a short period.
It's possible.
The scene was just like, oh, and I loved it. So tell us about this book, and tell us what inspired you to write this book.
Um, well, the book is about this aging rock star named Nathan Farrow, and he has this tragic loss of his wife and daughter while he's away on tour. And he comes back, and his wife and daughter are dead, and he's distraught. His life is destroyed, and he just decides to get in his car and drive across Route 50, which is called like the loneliest road in America, and it goes all the way across the country. So he starts off in California and takes this road trip across America, basically because he doesn't know what else to do. And the book is structured by each chapter is like 1 month, and it's supposed to mirror the pharaoh's journey through the Egyptian afterlife, and also kind of mirror loosely the stages of grief as well. And it's very surreal. It's one of these things where I never wanted it to be very clear whether, what was real, what was imagined, what was magical, it all just kind of blends together. And I don't think it really matters what's real or not, So that's the basic premise of the book. There's a lot of Egyptian kind of visuals and things taken from Egyptian myth, but I didn't want to be super heavy-handed with it, so I don't think I use the names for many of the gods. I know there's a couple name drops I make for some of the lesser known gods, but the main antagonist is supposed to be like an Apep kind of figure, but
Yeah.
the name Apep is never used in there. Um, or there's even there's someone who's this one character who shows up who's supposed to essentially be Set, and that name's never used. And just other little things, things that no one will get.
Oh, I got
So
them.
yeah, well, did you? So Set was originally the god of storms, and he was kind of a bad god because he chopped up his brother and all that, but
Mhm.
he wasn't the same thing as Apep. And later in the New Kingdom, they merged them. Like Set became the same, like Set and Apep became one kind of thing, and mainly because there were some foreign invaders that took over Egypt. They mainly worshipped Set, so when they got ousted, they're like, "Oh, Set's bad now." Um,
Yeah.
so at one point, they kind of get merged in the book as well, and that was supposed to be this weird reference. So there's a lot of stuff like that that I really did more for myself than. And if people get it, that's awesome. But I don't expect people to get all that sort of stuff.
The beer reference,
Yep.
that was good. Yeah. I you were very comfortable, and I've been studying mythology since I was like about 8 years old or so. I only really had the Greek, Roman, and Norse available then, but as I've gone forward in life, I'm just really into them. And you are able to jump from one pantheon to another. Just you're so comfortable in all of them. I love that in your writing because I'm like, oh, he's writing all this Angrboda stuff, and then it's like, oh, we're gonna hop it over here. Oh, and I look, guys, in the book, the Eye of Horus is like separating the little not
Yeah.
chapters, but the spacing between the
All
pages
the
in between.
scene breaks. Yeah. Or
Yeah, that was so awesome. It's like,
I don't know how
yeah,
well you can see, but
here, let me,
Oh,
yeah.
that's beautiful. I like how
Yeah.
you did that.
Well,
yeah,
that's the guy who laid this out. This guy Caesar, who works for Weird House. Um, and I don't know how to pronounce his last name, so I apologize. I think it's Pooch, and he's actually the webmaster for Weird House Press as well.
oh
So
cool. Yeah, that was just a neat little throw in there, and
yeah,
everything.
yeah, it was very cool. I'm
I
very happy with how the layout came out. So
I haven't seen now. Are the hard copies going to have illustrations?
not interior illustrations, no. There's just the signature sheet has like an Eye of Horus on it, but I wouldn't really consider that like an illustration. Um,
Okay.
and then the end papers, there are colored end papers in there, but it's just kind of like a patterny thing. Um, yeah, no other interior illustrations unless there's something I don't know about.
Surprise! Guess what?
um, I think that Joe was Joe's a little bit nervous about putting out something this short in like a deluxe edition. So I don't know that he wanted to invest all the money in that interior illustrations would have costed because he wasn't sure if people were going to drop the money on a 100-page book for something like that. So, but it seems like people are. So
Yeah, I was gonna say last time I checked, I think there were only 8 left available,
yeah, yeah, 8 copies left. So
and that's been what, like a week and a half that it's
yeah,
been
something
out?
like that.
So
So
yeah, I I think you got a market going for you, huh?
and the deluxe editions are nice too. They come with a slipcase. Yeah, it's a very cool book. All the other deluxes, anyways. I assume this is going to look just as nice, but yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah. Oh, you always, and you'll see on my page if you guys check me out. Every time I get something, there'll be a picture that's like, it's always great to see Weird House in the mail, and I get pictures of everything and lay it all out, and I get so excited. But yeah, everything you did, and you're saying a lot of those references were just for you, but the I loved the blending of Americana with the Egyptian setup. Like, you're just hanging out and all of a sudden, oh, there's, tattooed girl behind the bar and then the slit pupil eyes and stuff. And you're like, okay, I know where this is going.
Yeah, getting the Americana aspect of it was just as important to me, if maybe more so important than the Egyptian stuff, because it is really a trip across the United States and through kind of lonely parts of the United States. It's not all in these big cities and such. Um, and I did a lot of research. I spent a lot of time on Google Maps and
I bet.
just virtually traveling down Route 50 and be like, oh, that's a cool building. Like, yeah. um, and you asked about where the idea for this came from, and
Hmm.
it was kind of really it kind of started with Midsummer. And at the beginning of Midsummer, there's it starts off with basically the girl's sister killing her parents and herself, and I was thinking that, well, that was kind of thematically in the background of that movie. That was, to me, the scariest part of the movie was that intro, and I thought it'd be interesting to explore the idea of how you would deal with your feelings and your emotions if someone that you loved did something terrible to someone else you loved, and there's not even a way to confront them about that. Um, so that kind of thinking is what inspired me to go into the book. Was how do you cope and grieve when um, someone you love the most is who is to blame for this tragedy?
Yeah. Wow. Because it took a while for him to even, the build up to even find out what happened.
Yeah.
Beyond, or even his ability to process, like he couldn't even mention her name at first,
Yep.
either of them, and it's slowly getting there. That was that was just crazy. And Jenny, I've been talking a lot, so I'm gonna let you hop in here.
Okay, how I know you had put a whole lot of thought into it since that movie scene. How you would grieve, how you could process it, and how you would work through it. And the different aspects of how Route 50 is and the Egyptian gods. How did you come to want to meld all that together instead of like another type of outlet of like Norse gods or pagan or any other type of religion?
Well, I think that so the book actually there's another route to the book too, which I kind of forgot about. Whereas when I was putting this together, I was thinking about, with the grieving, I was also thinking about rebirth and like how you would come back from that. And when I think of rebirth or such, I always kind of go to the Egyptian pantheon
Hmm.
and all the solar kind of stuff. And there was this comic I tried to write forever ago, and it just didn't come about the way that I wanted it to. Um, but I had started writing a comic called Heretic: The Death and Afterlife of Akhenaten. And
Mhm.
Akhenaten was this kind of heretic pharaoh. He was the first monotheist in history, as far as we know. He changed Egyptian art, moved the capital, and then he was erased from history forever. Like, we kind of accidentally rediscovered him. And I thought, with that, I was like, what if Akhenaten dies and he finds out he was wrong, and now he's got all these pissed off gods and he has to get his way through the afterlife. So that was something I tried to write numerous times. It just never came out the way I wanted. And this, I guess that's always kind of been in the back of my head. So I took a lot of the things I wanted to do with that and kind of stuck it into this modern setting and put Nathan Farrow into that role to a certain extent. So I think it was just something that had been sitting in my brain for so long, and I was like, okay, well, I can make this work, and it just seemed to the pieces just seemed to fit right. Um, and as far
Very
as
beautifully.
thank you, and I just done not just, but I did the Envious Nothing, which has a lot of Norse stuff in it. There's a little bit of that in the Coffin Maker's Book of Dark Tales, and it's something that I go to a lot. It's very meaningful to me. It's very personal to me, but I wanted to kind of try to move on to something else instead of going to the same well over and over again. Um,
Oh, yeah.
so
It's a good well. I
it is a
mean,
good well,
it's hard to get there, but
You,
Mimir's well, so to speak.
yeah, your readers can tell that you have actually put a lot of studying, a lot of thought in why all these gods and what they portrayed and what they were over meant. I don't know how else to put it. Uh, how it should actually be put. So forgive me. And I love that. Um, was there a specific journey part? I'm not specific journey, but a specific month in the journey that you had liked the um you like to go back to and think about if when you were writing the book and before you had it published?
Um, I always kind of go back to the December month partially because it's one of the more action oriented months within the book, but I don't want to give away too much, but Nathan gets very kind of he embraces physical violence in that chapter, and he's not built for it, and
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. The idea of this guy trying to be this action hero tough guy, and he's just not. um, and it also kind of reinforced the idea that he's on the loneliest road in America. He's lost his family. He feels completely alone, but he has this person who comes and has his back in that chapter, and it's one of these things where you're blinded by grief, but you don't even realize that you still have friends around you. You still have people that care, and it kind of reinforces that too. So that's a chapter that I think about quite a bit.
that
I like that particular part. The
Thank you.
whole you can't see through it, but somebody still has your back.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
and once again, you are and it's not okay. I don't try to categorize you like this is the only thing you write, but you are the best at writing, in my mind anyway, emptiness. Um, you embrace the void and the hungry, lonely wanting to become something, and you just throw it at
Yeah,
us. So driving down the loneliest road and having, this empty heart that's needing to be filled with what happened, with coming to terms with everything.
I pile.
It's
Hi,
just
Pile.
it's so great. And I love that you can do that. And like I said, you write so much more than that, but it's just amazing how you can slip into the different aspects of it, the road, him in particular, and like what something is wanting to become, because he doesn't even know where he wants to end. He just knows that he has to end somewhere,
Yes.
you know. And
My
is there uh, are you empty inside, Curtis? Is there
he doesn't
is there
seem
something that
that way, but I
inspired
hope not.
is
I'm
there something that
intrigued.
inspires you to write that
Yeah, I
genre?
just so it comes down to like existential dread essentially, and um, I spend too much time being afraid of things that don't really matter and not worrying about things that do. But um,
You're very
one
subtle.
of one of the things is really the concept of nothing and like what is nothing. Like it's such a impossible thing to really imagine, like what is beyond the universe. If the universe is expanding, what is it expanding into? If there's nothing, there's no time, there's no darkness, so that's something that just is really I think about quite a bit, and it's really informed my fiction. I go back to that concept quite a bit, and I kind of think if I leave any sort of footprint on weird fiction, that it will be this kind of exploration of nothing and emptiness in kind of a unique way. I hope, anyway.
Okay, definitely. That's what I always associate. I have everybody I put they like this person's really good at writing about this, and that's what you write better than anyone else.
Thank you.
You know. Another thing that goes along with you, I've noticed, so many authors write about writing or write about authors and such, and that's, I mean, so write what you know. So I write about somebody who's writing
Yeah.
because that's what I'm doing. You involve, and I know you've been in bands, and you do music. You involve a lot of music or musicians in your writing,
Yes. Yeah.
and so is that all like some of it what you've experienced yourself and some what you know of other people, or
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it is just I I love music. Not when I say that, I'm not just saying I love listening to music. I love like everything about music. I love what it can do emotionally. I love the like if you go to like an actual symphony, like if you go see a real like an actual orchestra, you can feel the music coming off of the orchestra, like physically, you can feel the vibrations of it. And I'm intrigued by the theory of it, um, everything. So it's something that's that's magical to me, and I write kind of mainly supernatural fiction, so it just seems to meld with that very well because I do see it as a sort of magic, and it is something that I know. I've spent a lot of time like going to shows, and I've been in bands. I have friends that are in touring bands and have record deals and things like that. Um, and I wish I had been in an orchestra when I was younger. um, so yeah, it's something that I guess I just am very comfortable and passionate about. So I go back to a lot. And in Blackheart Boys Choir, in particular, that character is he he views the world through a lens of music. Everything is music to him. So the language of music is used throughout that book, to kind of describe the world around him, describe his feelings. And I've been told that even people who don't have an understanding of musical theory or of classical music or anything like that, they still get what he's saying because of um, like his passion for it and the way that he uses it as metaphor just comes across really well. So I just think essentially it's something that I know enough of and I'm passionate enough of to do well.
Yes,
yeah.
very.
I know I always bring it up, Blackheart Boys Choir when
And
I have
about
you
your
on.
subtility.
That's one of my go-tos. But I listening to it, it's written very well. You were talking about how it's written like stages of music, the chapters and everything, how it
Yep.
goes. But I've been listening to it on audio, like I said, for my second time through, and it's one of the only books I've ever heard recorded that way. If you guys get a chance, it's so you have this kid who has all these things going on in life, and like you have those little extraneous thoughts that go on, and there's music in this book as you're listening to it, and there's him talking and what's actually going on, and then there's his background voice, what he's imagining he could do, and it's all done separately in different ways by the narrator, and it's just a wonderfully, and I mean, and the book is amazing in and of itself, but if you're looking for something to pick up on Audible, I would highly recommend it. It's just
Yeah, I think the production came out really, really excellent on that book. I'm very happy with it.
any plans on having more stuff? I mean, we've got Devil's Night, Coffee Makers. We're gonna have this go to Audible as well, maybe.
Well, we'll have what this
Yeah.
you saying? I will probably. I think most likely. So I don't want to bore everybody with the business side of things, but with ACX, which is like the kind of the background, the back door of Audible to get your stuff on there. Um, I think you have to sign a 7-year contract for the audio book. So I'm just, it comes down to, things with audio rights and things such. So once that's all figured out, then we'll probably do something. The other part of it is, I don't know how well short books do on Audible. They might do fine, but I'm not positive. I know that when I'm spending my Audible credits, I generally go for something longer because it's the same price. So I don't know if maybe I should release it as part of a collection in like an audio collection later on. So eventually there will be some sort of audio version. I just don't know what form that will take.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
I like to pick up the Whisper Sync when I get stuff so that I have both, and then it I don't buy. I should subscribe to Audible to get the credits, but I just buy the books instead.
yeah. I
Because
usually I'll subscribe to Audible whenever they're like, oh, like here's a deal, and then I'll subscribe for like 2 months and then I'll cancel it and listen to. Right now, I don't know, I have like 10 books I haven't listened to yet, so I don't have an active subscription at the moment. But once I run out, then I'll renew it.
yeah,
Oh, jeez,
For-
the heck just fell.
It's
you're
been
right there.
helpful. The actual Audible credits are cheaper to get than most of the bigger books that I want to get. So it's cheaper sometimes to spend the 35, get the credits, and they get the 3 big books that are 30 to $50 per book. So
Yeah,
it all
that's what I'll
depends
do,
on
and
your
then I'll usually buy the smaller books. Like if it's a smaller book, I'll just buy it
Oh
with
yeah,
real money.
I do that
So,
too.
You gotta watch out on some of those things. I've bought a couple of different versions of the complete works of H.P. Lovecraft, and they just sometimes disappear. It's like,
really,
oh, and they're, I mean, I'm only spending like $5 on them, and it's not a super professionally done thing. It was like the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society of this chapter or whatever, got a bunch of people together and stuck a microphone at them, and
yeah.
they read the stories. But it was something to fall asleep to.
If you have a
And
Spotify, there's a bunch on Spotify too. I think
oh,
Horror Babble maybe has a bunch of stuff on Spotify.
I don't I don't do Spotify because I should for podcasts, but I don't want to pay for it, and I hate when they're like, "Hey, maybe you'd like to listen to this," and I'm like, "Hey, maybe I'd like to listen to the playlist that I put together." I don't know. That's just my thing.
Not always.
Yeah, I would say usually they're not. They're probably they're less expensive than like a hardcover usually, but I think they're still generally more expensive than a paperback.
Yeah, what you do, Mike, is you, like I was saying, you pick up the Kindle version of a book and then add on the Whisper Sync because that's usually like, I think I generally pay about $7.50.
Yeah.
And so it's like $5 for the Kindle book, maybe $7.50. So that's like 12.50 to get the book and the Audible. And if you go to the Audible site sometimes, they're selling that alone for $20 to $30. But they're, making extra sales that they wouldn't normally have, so they let you get a little freebie in there. So that, it's a nice little way that it works out, but not everybody does that.
Sometimes you're lucky and you can get it for $2. It all depends on the book.
Yeah. But I'd ask that because you're really good at getting Audible books out. So,
Yeah, we've done quite a few. What do I have? I have the Devoured, the Two Bad World books, Devil's Night, Blackheart Boys Choir, and Coffin Maker. The Devoured is one of my favorites for the audiobooks. I love the narrator on the Devoured. He did a fantastic job. It's a kind of a cosmic horror western with like a Robert E. Howard feel almost, and like the guy who did it, he has this like gravelly voice. He
That's
did a really
exactly
excellent job.
That's how I felt. It almost felt like a
Mhm.
Conan novel the way he read it and you wrote it. It you could feel the how it where you may have gotten your inspiration. I'm just not sure which book or version you would have gotten it from.
Honestly, I know it's unpopular to a certain extent, at least among book people, but um, like Arnold Schwarzenegger Conan is my Conan, which I know isn't is true to the books, but
Dude,
um,
everybody's got their, we
I
over on splash pages, it's like everybody's got their Batman,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I
And I do
grew up
love the actual Robert E. Howard stuff too, but I don't know. I'm a Schwarzenegger fanboy, I guess. And, you know, when he bites the head off the vulture or whatever in that movie, that's like an actual dead vulture that he bites into because the guy who directed the film was a lunatic and he made Schwarzenegger
wow.
like bite into this actual vulture that he had to like wash his mouth out with alcohol afterwards. He sicked actual wild dogs on him that like he had to get like stitches from these wild dogs.
Wow.
um, a lot of crazy stuff. And the original screenplay was by Oliver Stone, and it was like a super far future story with like mutants and stuff. Um, and yeah, it's pretty wild. That's my Conan TED talk.
We'll take it. All Conan talk is welcome here.
I honestly I've never read any of the Conan books, so Schwarzenegger is my Conan as well, and Red Sonja. When I was a kid, I was like,
You probably
"What is
noticed
this
my
world?"
sister's named after Red Sonja.
Oh, that's cool.
So that is how much we did Conan.
Yeah.
Our sister is
It
very
wild to me.
talented.
Robert E. Howard like amazes me because he did Solomon Kane, Conan, he did Call, he did all this stuff, and he died in like his 30s. Like,
That's
Wow.
sad.
yeah, he
A
killed
lot of
himself
books.
after his mom died.
Oh God.
Yep,
I
yep,
did not know that.
Just
yeah, he
like
shot himself.
it always amazes me sometimes when you find out um things about authors or artists that you're like, oh wow, this person does all this stuff, and they must be in their like 56s, and you're like, oh, they're younger than I am.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Okay, that's great. I feel like I should be doing more. I Robert McFarlane is I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's a British author, and he walks a lot of paths. He's big in, how you can they have all the open land where in England and different places in Europe it's like you can just walk on anybody's grounds
mhm.
and pretty much camp there. And they're closing some of that down, and so he's a big activist for that, but he has like all of these books out talking about different pathways uh underneath the mountain or climbing up in mountains, then caved things. And he's trying to also put together dictionaries of like Emil is one of my favorite words, and I learned it from him. And it is a old Devon term for when you have a frost overnight and it thaws just a little bit and then refreezes, and
Okay.
you see the sun like shining on the trees and all the branches are like glass, you know?
Oh, wow.
So there's actually a word for that. And so he was like preserving all these. He has books that I've bought all of his stuff, and it's like, oh, preserving this language. And I'm like, wow, this man, he's like, and I've walked, like this many thousands of miles on paths estimated on things. And I'm like, God, this guy's got to be like using a cane by now. And he's like, oh no, he's like 35 or something.
Yeah,
I'm like, what?
yeah, it's wild.
Like, how are you? Part of it is just like the very specific things he's into, but you know, you, Einar Solvik, look at all he's done. He's younger than I am too. I,
Well, I
I
mean, yeah, there's definitely, I definitely get that kind of. I don't want to call it jealousy because I don't want to make myself look bad, but definitely jealousy for younger people who are more accomplished, and sometimes it's just raw, once in a generation talent. Um, but a lot of times it's just, especially when I think one of the biggest things I have a problem with myself is that I wasn't as driven when I was younger. I just kind of expected things to happen for me, and then they
Mhm.
didn't. And I didn't really learn how to like work really hard until I was probably like in my 30s. Like basically until yeah, probably when I was like 29 or 30, after I had my son, and I was like, oh, I have no time now. Now I guess I really have to make the best of the time I have. So,
Yeah,
before that, I just kind of was like, oh, it'll happen eventually.
you might actually have to put the words on paper and then send it to somebody,
Right? Yeah.
and they might not just take it. What?
Or I even think back to when I was in bands. I was really bad at being in bands because I would write music and like we'd play some shows or whatever, but it was always somebody else who put the shows together. And I had no clue how the music business worked. I was just like, oh, somebody will just offer us a record deal, like, and that's not how things work. So
Yeah, but yeah, I guess I'm with you. I feel I get envious of them, but I'm also really proud
yeah,
and excited because you're like, you're doing so good and you're so young that you get to keep doing this for a really long time, I hope.
yeah,
You know?
absolutely. And it's cool to see how motivated, talented people grow, especially when they're younger. You can watch that growth over time, and um, there's a Weird House author named Tyler James, and he's pretty young. I think he's still in his 20s, and he's a fantastic author, and I think he has a long career ahead of him, and he's already just wildly creative. His prose is wonderful, and it's very cool being able to see his writing grow in real time. And um, yeah, he's definitely further along than I was at his age.
It's great to see everybody that you guys bring to the table because you have found some fabulous authors that you have working for you. Like I I have no idea what, like what's going on. You're like, oh, check out this person, check out this person. I'm like, okay, wow. Oh, William's great. Oh, Rob's great. Oh, Joshua's great, and you just keep going through and going through. Tim's great. Okay. I mean, this
Yeah,
is
it's been very. I feel very fortunate to have worked with Weird House in a capacity where I could bring authors to Joe, and I could run my own imprint and such. I got to work with Brian Evanson on his collection, None of You Shall Be Spared, and that was kind of a dream come true. Brian's one of my favorite authors, so even just to read those stories before anybody else had gotten a chance, that was incredible. Um, and to kind of help figure out where each story was going to go and such. Um, yeah, it was. I feel very fortunate for the connections that I'm able to make, and also for the fact that I'm able to not just work with people like Brian Evanson, or we have. I don't work so much directly with Tim Kern, but I know Tim and such. So to be connected with these people makes me feel very fortunate, but also that I could bring in someone like Tyler, or even like I introduced Josh to Joe as well. So to bring in these talented people that I think deserve a chance and see them get a chance, that's very rewarding.
and does Luke Spooner, I mean, I know he doesn't exclusively work for Weird House, but you have him on a lot of different projects as well,
Yeah,
correct?
we've used Luke on quite a bit. He's done he's done all three of my Weird House books. He did Devil's Night. He did the Weird House edition of Blackheart Boys Choir, and she did the self-published edition of Blackheart Boys Choir as well. And he did Coffin Maker's Book of Dark Tales. He did phenomenal work in those. I think he did. I believe he did Tyler James's Old Dark Houses, New Monsters by Joshua Rex. Yeah, he's done a lot of work for us, but I mean, he's everywhere. He does a lot of self-published authors books. I feel like Crystal Lake maybe was using him for a while for a lot of stuff. Might have been someone else, but I think it was Crystal Lake. Yeah, he's very prolific.
He's crazy talented too
Mhm.
because all of the different books, you can tell that it's his work, but the color palettes, the different things that he chose to change everything to work with the author are just
There's actually, see if I can find. There's So you see these kind of like concentric circles here. He uses these in a lot of his work. And it's funny, I was at a book event with another author who had a cover done by Luke. And I could tell right away. I was like, "Oh, is that a Luke Spooner cover?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's the Spooner circles." uh, so yeah, Luke's one of my favorite artists to work with. He's also, aside from being extremely talented, he's so fast and so professional. The original cover for Blackheart Boys Choir, so the one that's on Amazon, um, I had sent him what I wanted for that, and he had that cover back for me in less than 24 hours. So
damn.
yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah, he's incredible.
Oh yeah. Um
But we have a whole stable of really talented artists. We work with Nick Greenwood, Kent Turner, just Rebecca Clegg. There's a ton of artists that we work with, and they're all very talented.
I'm gonna have to check out some more of them because, well, I probably have them in some of the books that I've gotten.
Yeah,
I just I know him by name just because I'm following him on Facebook now, and it's just
sure.
oh, good job.
He's on social media a lot. He posts a lot of his stuff and his acrylic paintings and such, more so than a lot of the other artists that they don't seem to be as social media driven.
Yeah, I'm wondering if part of it is because it's so easy to steal somebody's work. If you're posting a lot of your stuff,
Also, I
somebody's
think Luke's younger too. I think that's part of it. Like Wayne Miller's another one we work with a lot. But I think like Wayne and Kent are a little bit older. Kent's been doing it for like 30 years or something like that. So
wow.
yeah.
I want to be doing something for 30 years. Oh, I guess I have been. I don't know.
There you go.
So, I'm gonna hop in real quick. Speaking of people that we love, I'm gonna hop in and play a commercial real quick, and then when we come back, do you want to? Did you say you did have something that you could read for
Yeah, I
us?
could read a couple poems.
Okay, that would be
Oh,
really
that
awesome.
would be awesome.
All right, let me scroll down. This is a fun one, if I can find it. Where did it go, Jenny? Where did it go?
You want me to?
I hate how he labels things. Okay, I found it.
You found it? Okay.
Sorry.
Greetings and shabebans. We are the Retro Reductopus Cephala Podcast, a long-form bi-weekly show that celebrates all the things that made growing up awesome.
Well, that sounds good, but I don't know what all those words mean.
I think what Parasite Seed's trying to say is that on Retro Redoctopus, we explore a range of retro goodness, from toys, video games, and movies, to cartoons, and even snacks and school lunches.
Oh.
And we do it all with a positive spin, a slew of killer guests, and some very adult language.
And you know what else is cool?
No.
This crazy show is part of the Dorking Podcast Network with new episodes every Tentacle Tuesday.
What's that?
And if waiting 2 weeks for a new episode gives you a sad, know that we drop bonus episodes all the time, like the off-format Crow's Nest and an interview series we call The Brig.
You can listen to Retro Octopus on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any app that's cool enough to carry the only show that celebrates all the things that make growing up awesome.
Yay! Commercials. And yeah, Mike, I'm with you. I try very hard when I'm doing our artwork to not end up grabbing too much AI. I use it for things like when I designed my D&D character because I can't afford to pay somebody to draw a little figure for me to post up in the background, but
I
you
think
have to be really careful.
Yeah, it's tough. I think that it's where the genie's kind of out of the bottle with AI, unfortunately. Like, I don't think it's going away. And I think that it's weird because I don't think it should be used in a commercial sense. I don't think that or if it is at least, I think that should be disclosed at the very least that using it. But there's too much of it's essentially it's a plagiarism machine. So
Uh-huh.
um, so it's I have I think that once that if there is a way that that gets figured out and it's not stealing from artists, I think that it's could definitely be a fun tool for like personal use, like you said, like D&D characters or just kids making goofy stuff. Um, but I don't know. I think I'm a little bit of a romantic when it comes to art, so I don't love the idea of it. I've had arguments with other designers and stuff about this too, and they're like, "Well, commercial art, it's just another tool." But I don't know. Even if art's commercial, I think it should still come from the human soul, so to speak. Um,
That's why I bought that book cover a couple of years ago because it was like, ooh, I I need that. That has something that I can feel to it, and I wouldn't, it. You buy it when you can afford it, but
yeah,
then it's like, okay, I might wait a while before I use it, but I have something real for a book cover. I think you really need to
absolutely.
have.
And Mike mentioned a little back in the chat about Conan being friends with Doom in the Marvel universe, and I just wanted to mention that Doom is uh, probably like my all-time favorite comic book character, maybe one of my all-time favorite fictional character.
Doom's he's a good guy, really. I mean, he's saved the Earth multiple times.
He
He
has
has
saved the
really
Earth
good
multiple times.
intentions behind what he does.
He
He
saved
feels
the Richards family many times, just mainly probably to flex on Reed, but um,
he babysits for them.
yeah. um, and when he's taken over the world, it usually becomes a better place.
I mean, that's his goal. He is not the bad guy. If I don't know if you read the Ultimate stuff, but
I read a lot of the Ultimate stuff. Yeah,
uh, it's back.
I didn't know it was back. I haven't read
Yeah.
New Comics in quite a bit, um, but I read like all of the original Ultimate Spider-Man run, Ultimate X-Men, Ultimates. Like
Uh-huh.
I read all of those original runs. So
Ultimatum. Oh
yeah,
my god. But okay, so Ultimate Invasion just came out a couple months ago, and now we've got Ultimate Spidey is up to two, Black Panther's on two, X-Men is on one, and the Ultimates I think should be coming out soon. But the whole story behind it is that the maker, Reed Richards' evil half, shows back up, goes and talks to Miles, and says, "Hey, I'm going home. You're welcome to come with if you'd like." And then robs Wakanda and all these other places, and then builds a machine and throws himself back into his world, and then stops every super being from coming into existence.
okay,
So he's wandering around Oscorp and sees a spider and just,
Mm,
oh, wouldn't
yeah,
want that to bite you and stuff, and it goes around and then like freezes time and is doing all these things, and then something that some of the other people break through and they're like, okay, we need to restore this to how it should be. But now it's things like Spider-Man finds out that he's supposed to be, or Peter Parker finds out that he's supposed to be Spider-Man, but he's married with kids, man. So it's like, you have this responsibility, are you going to take it on? So there's all, it's, but it's, so far it's going really good.
nice.
I would recommend it if you like the original Ultimate stuff, but the way that the maker punishes Reed Richards of this world is just horrifying. So,
Okay, yeah, I'll have to check it out. I love the original Ultimate stuff. Actually, the original Ultimate Spider-Man run up to when Peter dies fighting the Green Goblin, like that is like a near perfect run to me. Like it's probably my favorite comic run of all time. Either that or like the original full run of Lucifer.
yeah, that Ultimate Spidey was just, and see, I always thought Spidey was a wuss, but then I read it and I'm like, oh, okay, no, he can wreck the shit out of stuff.
Yeah. And I thought they did a good job of distilling because they had all the stuff, all the original storyline to kind of draw off, and they kind of distilled it down to the best parts, and really gave him this really tight character arc.
Yeah. I've been reading a lot more horror stuff lately, but I'm totally babbling and getting off topic. I read a Tosker, went on vacation. My squirrel, he's over there. I can't reach him, so
Well,
so I can't remind myself.
I did have another question. It's probably weirdly, oddly off topic, but what was
Okay.
your favorite side character?
In Ultimate
Yours.
Spider-Man.
No, in yours.
Oh, in my okay. In the side character. So I don't know.
It can be an alternate book.
No, for that book though, I guess probably the set biker guy who's in the gas stations. I just kind of visually liked the visual design of him a lot, and either him or Shesh. I think it's Sheshmu. I'm already the guy in December that he meets up with. I think that's how you say the name. Once again, these names are taken from Egyptian mythology, and I'm probably mispronouncing stuff. So,
I am not the one to help with that. I'm dyslexic.
Ratatoskr goes on vacation. Sounds like a brilliant fantasy comedy. It does. Yeah, he was probably my favorite side character from it. Now that I think of it, once again, I like him kind of showing up and having Nathan's back, and he's able to deliver on the violence that Nathan cannot.
I kind of enjoyed, even though for very briefly, the whole scene with Kevin King.
Okay, yeah.
That was a real exploration into like, what there was a term they used that was so perfect, and it was I can't remember what the word something about suicide, how you have control over it's not really the selfishness, but it's the ability to control it.
Okay.
Versus, you had a great phrase. I should have highlighted it.
I wish I could remember it. But no, the Kevin King stuff was really cool to write, and that once again goes into I wanted to kind of show that this was mirroring the Egyptian afterlife. So there are other kings, so to speak, that have gone through here and either succeeded or failed in this journey. And Kevin King is obviously one who fails. So
I'm like, scroll, I'll find it.
It's there somewhere.
And I know sometimes I feel like I maybe go a little bit too over the top. I didn't know if bringing in an Elvis-owned handgun was a little bit too much, but I couldn't help myself. So
I thought that was great.
It sounds like it's good to fit,
Oh, I'm almost there. It belongs to Elvis, believe it or not.
And the whole like TCB baby thing at the end it's kind of a personal joke to myself. It's kind of something I say to myself a lot when work needs to get done. So
agency, that's the term you use.
Agency, okay.
Too much agency in suicide without an element of chance. This is one of the philosophical discussions that takes place in this book, folks. I thought that was a great, I'm like, I have to talk about that because it is. It's like everybody. A lot of us, when you get depressed and stuff, there's that feeling of like, well, but do I want to take the responsibility of it? Why not leave it up to chance? Just like, I wouldn't mind if this happened, but I'm not going to put myself forward for it.
Well, I think a lot of depression, at least a lot of depression up to a certain point, is that I wouldn't mind if this happened. It's more apathy than I guess really being driven to kill oneself until it gets to kind of a critical point. But outside of like depression or mental illness, one of the things I strongly believe in more as I get older, which probably a lot of people disagree on me with me about. I strongly believe in the right to die. And
I do too.
yeah, like we let we're not going to keep an animal alive in pain, like to the point where it's just suffering every day. And it's insane to me that we force human beings to do that. Um, and I'm fairly healthy, but like right now, I'm 44 years old, and my knees hurt a little bit, like most days, and which is fine. But if I'm in constant pain and I'm 70 something years old, and I don't want to not be able to do anything, I feel like it's my right to make that choice. Getting a little bit off topic there, but yeah, I do think that having agency over one's fate in life is important.
That Terry Pratchett was very big on that and led the crusade basically over in England and in Europe because it's illegal to do. It's illegal to be a witness or a companion if somebody
Mhm.
wants, and they're like, okay, if you travel to, I can't even remember where it was. There were like certain countries where it was legal, but if you went with someone when you got back to your home country, you would be charged like a equivalency to like felony charges for not murder, but manslaughter type of thing. And for him, it was a matter of like his mind was
Oh
going,
yeah,
and
Terry Pratchett. Yeah, he was losing himself. Everything that was him.
I'm glad that he didn't end up having to resort to that. But I was so sad to lose him
It
because
was.
he was so young too.
Yeah.
But I've had like both sides of the equation where it's like, well, what if, if it is legal, then somebody who's just, doesn't, I don't know,
Yeah,
somebody
it's
who
tough
feels
because
like they're putting pressure on their family just because they're old and they don't want to be a burden anymore, just goes off and they, it's like,
yeah, and it can be misused. You could have people pressuring someone to because they want their money, or they're manipulating them for whatever reason. So it's definitely a complex issue, but
Very.
yeah,
I,
but if you go through and get psychological exams and things like that, it's very easy to go ahead and kind of screen people out and help the people who, might not really need to pass on, just need somebody to talk to.
yeah, and I don't know. I think as a general rule, if you need morphine every day, you probably
Mhm.
know whether or not you want to go or not. Um,
Yeah.
so
Very true. And I have appreciated you exploring grief and what it can mean to a mind and how it can be processed.
thank you.
Because
Yeah,
that has been a fight through a lot of my life with trying to figure out how that works.
yeah. I haven't. I luckily haven't suffered um, much catastrophic loss in my life. I've lost the worst thing being losing my father when he was fairly young. I think I was 30 when my dad died. He was like 53. Um, but that's about the worst I've had, and I think for me
I don't
with
want this.
what was that?
I don't want this to sound bad, but I'm grateful that you were older than I was because I think the stability and the understanding when you're older is
Oh,
a
absolutely.
little bit easier than when you're a kid and you lose both and you're floundering.
Oh
So
yeah, no, I think that's why I said I don't think that I've had it very bad at all. I mean, obviously losing a parent is awful, but I was I was at a point in my life where I was emotionally mature enough to deal with it, and um, I was I was independent, so I wasn't depending on anyone. I hadn't lost my. I wasn't depending on someone to take care of me, and they weren't there anymore or anything like
mhm.
that. Um, so I've been very lucky in that regard. So I think a lot of the understanding of grief that I have in that book is theoretical in a sense,
Oh
um,
yeah,
and really drawn from things like mythology and psychology and kind of armchair grief, I guess. But I
yeah,
use mythology kind of as a lens to understand most things in the world.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I think that
And
there's a lot of wisdom there, because the myths that we have, especially, like Egyptian myth going back that far, it's all been changed and distilled over time. And we're getting kind of the most useful version of this, because the stuff that is stuck around is the stuff that resonates and really
mhm,
helps us understand the world. Um, and that's why I think there's a lot of power in myth, because these ideas kind of encoded in our mythology have withstood the test of time, and they've helped us for hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of years. Maybe
mhm.
not tens of thousands, but
Yes. And please don't take it that I was saying your grief was less than mine.
oh, not at
I was
all.
just saying you had a different frame of point of view than as a kid, like I was. So
Oh, absolutely.
that
No, I didn't take it that way at all. Um, no, it's a much different scenario if you're a child. Mm.
I had something I was thinking of earlier, and this is just totally weird off topic, but they opened a new casino here in town, and I love these games. They're called Colossal Reels. It's a certain type of game, and they'll have like one set where you get a book here, and you get like four symbols, and they're five across, and then over here you get like 95 things, and they're really tall, and they're still only five across, but you get a lot of chance of extra symbols. And well, not with 95 possible combinations. Anyway, you get a
good
total of
night.
100 combinations, but one of
Right,
them.
Mike.
Good night, Mike. Um, but one of the cool things about it, they have like Little Red Riding Hood ones, but they have one that is Anubis based. And so I was thinking about that because we just went there the other night, and I was like, oh, I got, I wear my onk, so I'm sitting there. I'm like, okay, come on, give me something here. But the characters that they use from Greek mythology are Ra, Thoth, Anubis, and then Amit. And I'm like, you're kind of depressing, really. Like, did, did you just randomly pick Egyptian symbols and go
There's
like,
a
oh,
chance
that
of
one
that.
looks cool. That one looks cool. I'm like, half of these things are to do with death, and one is like, and they're worth the most points, but and I don't know. It was just like, okay, and your Eye of Ra is wrong. That's actually an Eye of Horus, but we'll let you call it Ra
Yeah,
because
they probably
it's
just
a
did a
fancy.
Google search or something, like Egyptian symbols.
Yeah, just oh, this one looks cool. Stick it in there.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna make Thoth purple. Okay, he's purple. Okay, because he matches the aces. Got it.
There you go.
I was just like I was thinking about that when I was because I read and reread the book, and I was just like, yeah, okay, come on, Amit, I want it. But yeah. Anyway, Dell going off doing her thing. But so reading, we're going to get you to do some reading for
Sure.
us
Yeah.
because
So,
I love to hear you read.
um, I didn't have anything kind of longer prepared, and I generally go to the same couple of stories when I read, anyways, because I only have a few that are like short enough. Um, so I thought I'd do a couple poems. So it'll be pretty short, but the first one, I guess we'll do from Spectral Realms number 11, edited by St. Joshi. This is published by Hippocampus Press, and it's a poetry journal. And I have a poem in here called She Tasted of Gin and Death. And here we go. Our lips met in a swirl of toxic mist and a black sea of coldest dispassion. She tasted of gin and death when we kissed. A lost, lonely soul, she wouldn't be missed. She was known to sell carnal distraction. Our lips met in a swirl of toxic mist. We walked to the beach where old spirits exist. In the fog, we made love in a fashion. She tasted of gin and death when we kissed. Dead souled and drunk, she clawed and she hissed, but the sea filled her and she turned ashen. Our lips met in a swirl of toxic mist. Even when she stilled, I could not resist. I placed my lips upon her cold passion. She tasted of gin and death when we kissed. Years passed in that ghast, formed from gas that hissed. Her eyes were black as seas of dispassion. She tasted of gin and death when we kissed. Our lips met in a swirl of toxic mist. So that's the first one. And then the other one is from Spectral Realms number 12. And this is called Singularity. What things may be in that place which eats light, what nightmares there dwell, feasting upon time, ancient dead gods of inverse paradigm, heavenly vistas or plains of hell's blight. Do dreams dance within that dense ever night? Is it pure nothing, empty and sublime, too perfect to capture in verse or rhyme? Or is it chaos, complete and outright? Do dark tendrils reach seeking to benight, or does wisdom hide in its dense space-time? Secrets of an entity first and prime, a thing too perfect to see with plain sight? What wonders swim in that cosmic black sea? What sirens sing to us with gravity? So, I said a little bit short, but that's what I have for tonight.
Very good.
Thank
The first
you.
one, I immediately was like, Jack the Ripper. That's where my brain goes.
Yeah, definitely a serial killer kind of vibe. And
But
second one goes into that kind of nothing thing we were talking, that emptiness thing we were talking about. So
get it, unness. Okay, there's a word for it. I always forget. Words are hard.
words
Unness
are.
sounds very Alice in Wonderland.
What was that?
Unness sounds very Alice in.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
But what do you have coming up? I know you've been working. I don't know if you want to talk too much about it or not, but I know you're working on something.
So I have what I have coming out soon is there's a story I wrote for a Lovecraftian anthology. I wrote it. I don't know. I wrote it forever ago at this point, and for various reasons, it got pushed back a few times. But there was a book put up by Journalstone, edited by William Holloway, called The Relay Cycle. The Abyssal Plane was the first book, and William, who's a fantastic author, he came up with this specific kind of Lovecraftian apocalypse that he kind of crafted and envisioned and set rules for it and such. And he had a couple authors write novels or novelettes within this kind of apocalyptic framework. And that's what the first book was. And so he decided to do a sequel to it and asked me to be in it. And it's there's a story from me, a story from Gemma Files, one from William, and one from Brett Talley, I believe. And yeah, this is going to be the sequel to that. I honestly forget what it is. It's the Relay Cycle book 2. I forget what the Black Seas of Infinity, I think it's called. And I have a novelette, novelette in there about a kind of a shut-in comic book artist, and basically he's in his house and he won't leave, but there's something happened in the world. He doesn't know quite what. It's been raining for days. It's in Rhode Island. Everything's flooding. The streets are like filled with like 6 feet of water, and he keeps having these kind of almost like out of body experiences where he's imagining himself in this other creature's body, and it deals a lot with his like agoraphobia and his loneliness, and there is a octopus on girl sex scene in there. So that's that's my first and maybe only tentacle porn scene that I'll write. So that's supposed to be coming out in, I think, I don't know, May or something. I'm not sure. Like I said, it's been pushed back a few times, but it should be coming out this year. And then I have I'm working on, been bouncing between a couple things, but the main thing I'm working on at the moment is kind of like a vampire novel, for lack of a better word. Not really, not vampires as you would think of them, but it's basically about a guy returning to the small town where he grew up, which is like a New England island town, very small population, and he gets there and ends up trapped when a storm happens and a bunch of people are getting eaten. And um, it will, yeah, there'll be more mythological kind of stuff in there as I develop it, but I'm pretty early on in it right now. I have an outline, but those outlines always change. And the main theme I'm kind of going with in this one, though, is really about age and aging and how that impacts you, and the kind of envy that you have for the youth, especially when you see younger people, I guess, in your perception at least, misusing their time and their health and their kind of squandering that youth. So that's kind of the main theme I'm working with for the novel.
Rocket. And you're going to be in the Owlite Menagerie
Yes,
as well.
yes, I am.
Yeah.
If you like the story.
Oh, I did.
Oh,
I loved it.
Okay. Yeah. So
Patty and I and her have all loved the story, and we're all
great.
grateful.
Well, thank you. I'm glad. Yeah, that's I wrote that story a while back, and it kind of didn't fit really with a lot of other stuff I was doing because it's got kind of stronger sci-fi vibes, and I don't know if you'd really call it horror, but anyways, I enjoyed it. And
I thought it was very dark.
it is dark, yeah. Initially, I had wanted to do a little bit more with that story. I had it kind of set up between, um, like that was originally going to be a story within a story, kind of mirroring somebody in like our world, so to speak, just going through basically having the punk rock equivalent of a crisis of faith. I don't know if you've ever, like when you were younger, been part of a scene and then just suddenly realized like I don't fit in here at all anymore. And so it was going to be something like that, but I kind of dropped that part of it. It just wasn't panning out the way I wanted.
Yeah, that day when you wake up and you're like, man, I gotta drink like 4 bottles of tequila and smoke a bunch of weed because otherwise I can't handle hanging out with these people. Wait a minute. I started hanging out with these people because they were people I could smoke weed with. Huh. Guess we're done now, and I'm going to start saving some money.
Oh yeah,
I need to find
Yeah.
new friends.
been there,
So
done that, moved 2 or 3 times.
I'll make it a t-shirt.
so yeah, that's what I have really going on right now, and I have a couple other things that I'm messing around with a little bit, but I think the next thing I'm going to try to really finish is this novel. I'm kind of burned out on short fiction. I've been writing short fiction nonstop for a few years now. I mean, couch surfing isn't short fiction, but it's still a novella. It's still fairly short, and I want to do something a little bit longer where I can spend more time with the characters and um, kind of develop a theme more deeply the way I did with like Blackheart Boys Choir, and also doing so much short fiction. You're under a lot of pressure to like come up with a lot of ideas, a lot of interesting ideas over and over again, and with this I can just have um, one kind of central monstrous or occult theme and build off of it instead of having to come up with 20 different things.
Yeah, right? You start writing, and it's just like, okay, you get 1 or 2 extra ideas, and that's like, but now I need 10 more.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not doing that project anymore. I don't know. That's me. See, I give up.
And I also I'm interested like the last you know couch surfing's a novella, but before that it was the Coffin Maker's Book of Dark Tales, The Envious Nothing, and Devil's Night. So that's 3 collections in a row. And I think I have over 50 published short stories at this point. So yeah, it's just kind of time to step away from short fiction for the moment.
And it
Yeah.
will be nice to see how you can develop and make it go farther and have an multiple overarching plots to reach one very interesting ending.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's been a while since I've had to develop B plots and, and things like that. So um, yeah, I'm excited for it. It should be very cool. And I don't know how long it's going to end up being. I generally tend to write with a little bit more brevity. My stuff is generally a little bit shorter. I do have a friend who's been asking me for years to write like a Stephen King doorstopper. I don't know if I have that in me, but we'll see. This one I have a feeling is going to be a little bit longer than most of my stuff.
Make it as long as it needs to be, and I
Yep.
think we all have faith that we're going to enjoy it.
Well, thank you.
So now is the time where Jenny finds the music, and
Oh,
I'm going to pull up.
2 seconds.
Yes.
There we go. I'm good when you are.
Okay, it's gonna take me a second to find. Bump, bump. Okay, are we up?
Yes, just let me know when you're ready for me to go.
Okay, let's go. 3, 2, 1.
Mm.
Yay!
Yay, Tom Dog!
Bomb dog, you win one. And let's see who gets the other one. And Sergio, I'm not sure. I think was a troll. So if he wins, we
Sergio.
try again. But
Okay.
ready?
Yes.
Go. Oh, Sergio cheated.
Yes.
We should go again. Mike. There we go.
Yay! Mike! Yay!
Yay!
Well,
All right.
I hope they enjoy it.
Oh, they will. I've been building up Tom Dog's personal library now for a while because he comes to every one of the shows. He's awesome,
Nice.
and yeah, he's been getting some good stuff over the years.
He has multiple ones of yours now.
Yes.
It's been like 2 years we've been doing this. We're heading into the end of the second year.
Oh yeah, we are, aren't we?
Yeah.
That feels crazy. No wonder I haven't got anything else done.
And
But
if you didn't win one, it's only $2.99 on Kindle.
yeah, go out there, get it on Kindle, or you could be super awesome and follow the link and get yourself your premium edition.
Yep,
Very
there's
nice.
only I think 8 left of the deluxe edition. Comes with a slipcase and signed and lettered A through Z.
I wonder what I'll get.
I may
Like,
have to settle for the paperback because I'm broke.
Yeah, the paperback's only $11.95 or something. It's much more affordable.
Oh yeah.
And it's still a nice edition. So
It's still worth getting.
oh yeah. So, Curtis, while we wrap this up here, where do you want people to find you? Where do you like to have people reach out and contact you?
we can. I'm on all the usual places. My son keeps dropping shit above me. um, Twitter, I'm on there is at @C_Lawson. You can reach me on Instagram as Curtis M. Lawson. And I'm on TikTok, but I don't usually go on there. I'm too old and I don't really get it. and you can send me a Facebook. I have an author page. I don't update it as much, but you can send me a request on my personal Facebook, and I accept most of those. I also run the Weird House social media, so if you reach out to Weird House on social media, you're probably talking to me. Um, and
I've been able to
yeah,
find him. I promise you can. I've tagged him in everything I've shared, so you can find him. I promise.
yeah, and you can get um, most of my work in a nice one sort of signed edition or another at Weird House, or anything else over on Amazon.
Yep. And his links should be in the show notes up above, down below, to the side, wherever
Wherever
you're at.
links go.
And we do have, I think it's still, if you subscribe to your newsletter, you get a free copy of Blackheart's Voice Choir. Does that
Yep,
sound right?
free ebook of Blackheart Boys Choir, and if, I know we talked about Devil's Night earlier, and I think there are still copies of there's a paperback edition of Devil's Night that they did that's signed and has the color illustrations, and I think it's only like $20. And for the color illustrations, I think it's definitely worth it because it's really beautiful, and there's nicer paper on that edition too, and not everybody cares about that, but if you do, it's nice, smoother paper. I don't know, it's kind of cool.
It's got a nice gloss on it.
It's like this, yeah. It's really nice for $20. I think it's a really nice addition.
I think that's one of the ones I have. Otherwise, I'm going to be buying it tonight. I'll be like, go raid my
I have
closet
to
real
wait
quick.
till Wednesday.
All right. Well, you can find me. I have her go last, not because I'm rude, but because she has the most. She's kind of the you of our whole group. You can find me at Carrie Kari Sanders on Facebook, and all of the rest of my links are there. My author page is there. My stuff on splash pages. We have Michael Walsh coming up this Tuesday. Going to be super fun. We read The Silver Coin by him, and he'd had to cancel the last minute the last time he had a family emergency, but we're going to have him on then. What do we have going on this Monday? Tomorrow?
We have
There's
Legends
a Legends by
and
Night.
Serial Killers.
Okay, serial killers, and then a week from then we have the Tomb of the Terrible, where we are watching Mandy the Haunted Doll, and we will do this for you. I don't suggest that you do it on your own because it's a very scary place to be. Not in the like horror movie sense of the word, and the fact that you're making your brain die as it goes. So that's where you can catch me. And most of the time when you're catching me, you'll actually be speaking with Miss Friday here, our gal Friday. So Jenny,
You can find me on Fakehor. You can find me on Owlite. You can find me randomly on her stuff. You can find me at my page under Jennifer Elliott, and also Friday with the Library in the Blue Box is my other book page. And Wednesday, Waterhouse Hill Press. We, I will share it and get the name right. Like I said, my dyslexia is kicking my butt today. This beautiful publishing company, I get to talk about how they're publishing and how it works at their company, and learn more with my beautiful co-host, Patricia Harris. And Thursday we have another episode of should have another episode of Owlite Adventures.
okay.
In theory, we'll find out.
We're having fun organizing things right now. We're moving a couple shows around, so it's like, which one are we doing? I don't know. Are you ready for it? Sure. Okay. Then let's do it. All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. Go check out Curtis. Get your hands on this book. Two of you are getting it already, Mike and Tom. So thank you all for watching, and have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.